Hey, what's up guys, it's Theyo from Theyo Concepts, and here are 5 reasons why you should upgrade to a full frame camera. Let's get started. Alright, so first on the list is image quality. Full frame cameras have a larger image sensors, which means they can capture more light and details. And this will result in higher image quality, better dynamic range, color depth, and low light performance. Alright, so I've been using the Canon M50 for taking pictures for quite a long time now, and I noticed that anytime I'm shooting in low light shots, the camera struggles a little bit. The reason for this is once you capture the images and you go into Lightroom for all your editing, you notice that there's a lot of grain backgrounds because the camera cannot compensate for those high ISOs, and you end up with a lot of noisy images. But when I switch to the Nikon Z5, I notice I'll be shooting at the same exact ISO as my Canon M50, and I am getting much better images. I also thought this was because of the processing power, but the baseline is because Nikon Z5 has a bigger sensor. It is going to give you much better results as something like the Canon M50, even if you are using similar lenses. The second on the list is shallow depth of field. Now, if you've not heard about this or don't know much about it, it basically means the out of focus background. As you can see right now, I am in the frame and my background is blurred out. That is what we call the shallow depth of field. So if you're shooting with a lens with f1.8 as the aperture, you notice you have some nice blurry background. The problem with this is if you're using a crop sensor camera, the f1.8 is not exactly f1.8, it's more like f2.5 to 2.8. But on a full frame, because the sensor is much bigger, it is going to get everything right there. So if you have an f1.8 lens, you are getting the exact f1.8. If it is f1.4, it is exactly f1.4 on a full frame. Now what this means is you can achieve a more blurred background and foreground, which can help to isolate your subject and create a more professional look. Now it is for this reason most professional wedding photographers and videographers prefer getting a full frame camera for more blurry shots. I mean, everyone likes that, right? The third reason is the ability to use wide angle lenses and get away with it. Full frame cameras allows the use of wide angle lenses without significant distortion. This is because a full frame sensor is larger than a crop sensor, so it captures more, and this also brings us back to the sensor size. So a crop sensor camera is essentially cropping in into an image. So you notice you put a 50mm f1.8 lens on a crop sensor camera like the Canon M50, you multiply that by the 1.6 crop factor and you end up with 80mm. So this is a clear example of getting more in your shot. And number 4 is better low light shots. Full frame cameras can perform better in low light situations than cameras with smaller sensors. This is because the larger sensors can capture more light, resulting in a less noise and better image quality. I feel like I've already touched on this. You notice anytime you are using a full frame camera, you can increase your ISO to say 1600 and do the exact same thing on a crop sensor, and you notice a significant change. There's going to be a lot of noise in your crop sensor image rather than on the full frame, even if you are using the exact same lens. So let me give you a typical example. If you are using the Nikon Z series, the newer ones, say the Z6, the Z5, or the Z7, if you put an 85mm lens on it and you take pictures at ISO 2600, if you put that same lens on the Nikon Z50, it is going to be much noisier. Even though the Nikon Z50 is using much newer hardware, much better system, everything in there is upgraded to match what the Z line of full frame cameras from Nikon, it is still going to give you much noisy background because the sensor size is smaller. That is just the baseline. And number 5 on the list is professional features. Full frame cameras often come with professional features such as faster autofocus systems, larger buffer size, and larger frame rates. These features are particularly useful for photographers who shoot fast moving subjects such as wildlife and sports. Now with this, there is a little bit of a catch. The reason for that is not all full frame cameras can take that fast moving subject. I noticed that the Canon EOS RP can take up to 4 frames per second. So when it comes to fast moving subject, you're not going to get everything in your frame once you start clicking. But the Canon M50 shoots at 10 frames per second, and the reason for this is because the Canon sensor size is smaller, so the image quality is going to be compressed, unlike the RP, which has a bigger sensor and has to capture a lot of details in every single shot. But the good news is, once you get a full frame camera, all your images are going to be nice. They're going to get much blurrier background. Your low light performance is going to be improved a whole lot, and because the dynamic range is also going to be improved, even if you are shooting in harsh lighting conditions, you can bring down the highlights and increase the shadows. Unlike when you shoot with a crop sensor camera, you are limited in so many ways. Again, the unfortunate thing is full frame cameras are so expensive, so depending on what you are looking for, just go for a budget one like the Canon RP, the Z5 that I'm using, and a whole list of budget full frame cameras. I'm going to be dropping a link in the description below for all that I can think of, those that are going to give you better image quality and the best bang for the buck. That's what they say. So just check the links in the description below and get yourself one of these full frame cameras. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel and other channels which I have them linked below, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Theyo Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.